SpaceX has been designing and developing its Raptor engine for over a decade. And in the past few years, the Raptor engines have gained wide popularity since it became an official candidate to power SpaceX's next-generation Starship rockets, which will ultimately take hundreds of thousands of people to the surface of Mars. The engine has been in development for the better part of a decade, going through a number of iterations every now and then. At its core, it's like other engines, burning chemical fuel to generate thrust. But its use of liquid oxygen and methane, something largely unprecedented in the rocket industry, and its innovative design means that it just might be SpaceX's ambitious feat yet to achieve its long-term objectives. By the end of this video, we will have the context of the significance of the Raptor engine for SpaceX, how it compares to other engines, why it uses liquid methane, and lastly, how this engine will help SpaceX achieve its goal of establishing a colony on Mars. But before we dive in, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to keep getting your daily dose of space industry. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you're notified every time we upload new content. So let's dive in, shall we? SpaceX aims to make humans a multi-planetary species, and this ultimate goal is the reason why SpaceX made a lot of decisions while developing the engine for its Starship launch vehicle, which ultimately resulted in what we now recognize as the next-generation Raptor engine. SpaceX hopes to achieve its goal of taking millions of people to Mars by making rockets reusable. The company's ability to launch their rockets and land them with extreme precision is something that was deemed impossible nearly 10 years ago. But now we see that happening all the time. SpaceX recently hit a new milestone when one of its Falcon 9 boosters successfully launched and landed for the 10th time. But SpaceX plans to go even further than that because CEO Elon Musk believes that in order for humans to become a multi-planetary species, the rockets need to be fully and rapidly reusable, just like an aeroplane. So, ultimately, each rocket needs to be reused hundreds, if not thousands of times, to make it truly cost-effective. This means that their eventual goal is to manufacture their rockets in such a way that it flies, comes down back, and be able to fly again instantly without needing any refurbishment. Now that we understand the main goals and the reasons behind why SpaceX chose Raptor engines for its Starship launch vehicle, let's talk about the design of the Raptors. The Raptor engine is powered by cryogenic liquid methane as a fuel and liquid oxygen as an oxidizer. The earlier concepts for Raptor considered liquid hydrogen as fuel instead of methane. But keeping in view the long-term plan of SpaceX, liquid methane seemed like a much better candidate. Methane is the smallest hydrocarbon, being one carbon atom surrounded by 4 hydrogen atoms. When methane reacts with oxygen, it produces carbon dioxide and water. The major reason why hydrocarbons serve as an effective fuel is because the CH bonds contain a lot of energy when burned. That's why most of the automobiles today rely on hydrocarbons as a fuel. But the question arises, why did SpaceX choose methane over a larger hydrocarbon, which could potentially be more effective and capable of releasing more energy? And the reason has to do with SpaceX's long-term plan to establish a Mars colony. If SpaceX truly hopes to make humans a multi-planetary species, they would not have to bring millions of people to the Red Planet, but they would also somehow need to be able to make fuel on the Red Planet for the return flights. And since Mars does not have any oil reserves like we do on Earth, therefore, creating fuel on the Red Planet becomes somewhat of a challenge. But fortunately, since the Martian atmosphere is rich in carbon dioxide and the presence of hydrogen on the Martian surface has also been confirmed, therefore, SpaceX hopes to combine these two in a process known as Sabatier process to make fuel on the Martian surface to be used for return flights. Now you might be wondering if SpaceX's Raptor engine is newly built to accomplish such long-term projects. Is it actually the strongest engine ever made? And the answer is no. The F-1 engine that was used on the Saturn V rocket, which took Apollo astronauts to the surface of the moon, had a thrust that was 3 times as powerful as the Raptor engine. Okay, so you might be wondering if it's not the strongest, is it the most efficient? But again, the answer is a big flat no. NASA and other global space agencies have built and used engines that were relatively way more efficient than the Raptors in terms of fuel to weight ratio. One example is the RS-25, which was utilized aboard space shuttle missions, which used liquid hydrogen and oxygen as its fuel. Most previous rocket engines have relied on using fuels like kerosene instead of methane. But the main benefit of using methane is that it has a higher performance compared to other fuels. Meaning, the rocket can be smaller. It's lower cost too, meaning the total cost of launching can be brought down significantly. This could be crucial because the number of Raptor engines SpaceX is aiming to build is immense, to say the least. Each Starship vehicle is designed to fly with 6 Raptor engines, along with 35 on the Super Heavy rocket, a total of 41 engines per launch. SpaceX's biggest rocket so far, the Falcon Heavy, launches with 28 Merlin engines, 27 on the bottom and 1 on the upper stage. With the number of launches SpaceX is planning for Starship and Super Heavy, their rate of production will need to increase significantly in the coming years. Raptor represents a large shift in SpaceX's ambitions from modest Earth-based launches to, potentially, exploration of the solar system, and making humans a truly spacefaring civilization. Starship's recent test flights have been a key step in the right direction. And if the Raptor ever partially lives up to some of its promises, the future could be very bright for human space exploration. And if SpaceX really does reach Mars, Raptor will have a huge part to play, to say the least. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for all the latest updates related to upcoming Starship flights. Until next time, bye for now.